Lesbian detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detective, lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode on a new week. And I have nothing to say this week. Nothing has really happened in our lives, and we've just been chilling, guys. I'm sorry. No good news. I don't have nothing, sorry.
Just planning a trip to Orlando.
Yeah, we're going in a couple months. I'm not going to tell you guys when. You will have an episode, so calm down. But, you shouldn't tell everybody when your dates of your trip is.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for my daughter's birthday. But I could not get off, so we had to plan a different day. We got the flights, because we was going to drive, guys. We was going to drive. I was excited because we were going to see the beach. We was going to have a little road trip. My wife acted like she was excited, and then when the time came and she saw them tickets went down, I turned around. She bought them tickets. Mm-hmm. But we're going longer this time. We're going actually longer. Because at first we were going 4 days. This is going 6 days.
Yeah, because we had to drive 2 days to and then 2 days from. So we don't have to do that anymore.
Guys, she was like, click up, bloop. I'm like, what's going on? And she booked the tickets. And I'm like, I'm excited that we get to stay a little longer. Because, our first day, we was going to be on the road, then we'll have to go to the park. It's one park that I really want to go to, Epcot, and I really want to drink around the world. And I'm like, because it's going to be, our first day there. And I couldn't do the things I want to do there, but now I'm able to. Our first day, we're going to get there around, 9 o'clock. We're not going to go to none of the parks or nothing like that. We're just going to go to Disney Springs, look around, shop. It's a couple things I want to do at Disney Springs, so give me some advice. I want to go to the Coca-Cola place, get my name carved in one of the drinks, and I want to go to the M&M store, and then I want to go to the Lego store to build me a Lego. I have a lot of things I want to do. I have looked up and down at Disney Springs. My wife is going to wait probably till 2 weeks before we go, and then that's when she's going to start sending me TikTok videos we'll go here. So
I forget.
She forgets. But I don't. I already know. But guys, done with our vacation. Sorry, I said I had nothing to talk about, but I must really do. This is our episode, so let's say my favorite line. Now let's get into the episode. Imagine you're 10 years old. It's cold, rainy Saturday night, and after arguing with your sister, you get home only to realize you've been locked out the house. Your parents aren't home, and you do not know when they will be back. So you do what any child would do. You walk to the nearest payphone and call your mom for help. While you're waiting for her to arrive, a stranger steps inside the phone booth. He tells your mother not to worry and says she needs to pick you up within the next 30 minutes. Or he'll call the police because you shouldn't be left alone. Your mother rushed to get there. She arrived less than 20 minutes later. But the phone booth is empty. Her daughter is gone. What's even more chilling is that several people saw the man standing inside the phone booth with her. Yet, not a single witness ever saw the two of them leave. It was as if they simply vanished into the night. More than 40 years later, investigators would identify the mystery man and announce that he was not a suspect. So, if he wasn't responsible for the disappearance, who was? Today, we're diving into one of Canada's most baffling unsolved child disappearance. This is the case of 10-year-old Joanna Jojo Pedersen. Before we get into the case, it's important to understand who she was and the life she had before she became the center of one of Canada's most haunting missing child case. Joanna Marie Pedersen was born on May 17, 1972. To the people closest to her, she was simply Jojo. Family and friends remember her as quiet and shy, but one who was kind and caring. She was not the type of child who looked for attention or caused problems. She was a normal 10-year-old girl who was enjoying spending time with her family and growing up alongside her two sisters. After Joanne's parents divorced, her mother, Angela, became the primary caregiver for Joanne and her sisters. Like many families going through major changes, they experienced periods of adjustment and moving several times, eventually settling in the area of Chilliwack, British Columbia. It was common for children to walk short distance alone. Joanna was in elementary school and lived in a townhouse complex with her family. She was surrounded by a community where she had friends, family, and familiar routine. Nothing about Joanne's life suggested that February 19, 1983 would become a day remembered for tragedy and unanswered questions. That evening, Joanna was spending time with her older sister Louise and her cousin. The three children were walking home together when a small argument broke out between Joanne and Louise. Like many siblings' disagreements, it seemed minor at the time. Eventually, Louise and their cousin continued ahead towards home, leaving Joanne to walk the rest of the way by herself. When Joanne reached the townhouse, she discovered she couldn't get inside. The door was locked, and her mother and stepfather was not home because they were attending a birthday party. Now alone outside on a rainy February evening, Joanna needed a way to contact her family. So she made the decision to walk to a nearby store where she knew there was a payphone. The penny pitcher. The penny pitcher was only a short distance away. Joanna had no reason to believe that this simple walk would be the last time anyone would see her. When Joanna arrived at the penny pitcher store, her plan was simple. She would use the payphone, call her mother, explain that she had been locked out, and ask someone to come pick her up. At around 8:20 p.m., Joanne stepped into the phone booth and contacted the operator. She requested to be connected with her mother, Angela. For Joanne, this was just a normal phone call. She was not aware that this moment would become the final confirming sight of her. While Joanne was inside the phone booth, a witness noticed that she was not alone. A man entered the phone booth with her and remained nearby while she was speaking on the phone. The man would later become known as the mystery man in Joanne's disappearance. Witnesses described him as between 20 and 30 years old, slim with a mustache and wearing a dark leather jacket. Investigators would spend years trying to identify him and understand his connection to Joanne. When Angela answered the phone, Joanne explained what had happened and asked her mother to come pick her up. But during the conversation, the man took the phone and spoke directly with Angela. He told her that she needed to arrive within half an hour or he would call the police. Angela later said that she did not find this conversation threatening at the time. Instead, she believed the man was simply making sure Joanne was not left alone. So Angela immediately left the birthday party and drove to the penny pitcher store. She arrived within 15 to 20 minutes, but Joanne was no longer there. At first, there was probably a small part of Angela that hoped a simple explanation. Maybe Joanne had gone inside the store. Maybe she had walked back home. Maybe she had got tired of waiting and decided to return to the townhouse. But as the area was searched, it became clear that something was wrong. Joanna was not inside the store. She was not walking along the nearby roads, and the man who had been standing with her inside the phone booth was gone as well. For Angela, the realization must have been terrifying. Her 10-year-old daughter had called for help, and sometime between the phone call and her arrival, Joanne had disappeared. The police were contacted, and the Chilliwack Royal Canadian Mounted Police immediately began investigating. One of the first challenges investigators faced was they had very little evidence. They knew where Joanne had last been seen. They had a description of the man who was with her. They had witnesses who remember seeing them together, but they didn't know what happened after that. No one could tell the police which direction Joanne and the man went. No one reported seeing them walk away from the phone booth. No one saw a vehicle leaving the area. No one heard a struggle. It was as though there was a missing piece of time between the moment Joanne was inside the phone booth and the moment her mother arrived. Investigators quickly focused their attention on the man who had been with Joanne. His description was shared, and he became one of the biggest questions surrounding this case. And why was he with Joanne? And why had he spoken to the mother? The details made this case complicated because the man's behavior did not give investigators an answer. On one hand, he was the last known person seen with Joanne. He was a stranger who entered a phone booth with a little girl, and that naturally made him someone police need to identify. But on the other hand, his action seemed unusual for someone trying to harm a child. He had spoken with Angela and told her to come pick up Joanne. He had even mentioned calling the police if she did not arrive. Investigators had considered every possibility. Was this man involved in Joanne's disappearance? Or was he simply someone who wanted to be there during the final moments before something happened to her? While police worked to answer those questions, the search for Joanne began. Officers, volunteers, members of the community joined together to search the area. Teams searched nearby neighborhoods, open fields, wooded area, and properties surrounding the store. Search dogs were brought in to help trace Joanne's scent. Police also searched from the air and checked nearby waterways, hoping they would find something that could explain where she had gone. But despite the efforts, there was no sign of Joanne. The days following her disappearance were filled with fear and uncertainty. Her family was left waiting for answers, while investigators continued trying to piece together what had happened during the final missing moments. As the investigation grew, police began looking into hundreds of possibilities, speaking with thousands of people. But before the case would go cold, another strange event would bring new hopes to Joanne's family. 2 weeks has passed since Joanna Pedersen disappeared. For her family, those days were filled with uncertainty. Every phone call brought a moment of fear and hope. A ringing phone could mean answers, information, or possible news that Joanne had been found. But for Angela and her loved ones, each day without Joanne became harder. Investigators had searched the area, followed leads, and spoke with countless of people, but they still did not know what happened to Joanne. Then on March the 5th, 1983, Joanne's family received a phone call that would become one of the most mysterious moments in the entire investigation. The call came to Joanne's grandmother, Mary Riley. When Mary answered the phone, the person on the other end did not introduce themselves. According to reports, a male voice simply said, "Listen to this." Then something unexpected happened. Mary heard the sound of a child crying. The call ended shortly. For Joanne's family, this was both heartbreaking and hopeful. The possibility that the child crying could have been Joanne raised a question that desperately wanted to believe was true. Could Joanne still be alive? Investigators took the call seriously because there was some detail that made it difficult to dismiss. One of the biggest questions was how the caller had gotten Mary's phone number. At the time, Mary's number was unlisted. It was not publicly available in the phone book, meaning it was not something a stranger could easily find. Joanne did know her grandmother's phone number. That detail immediately caught their attention. If Joanne was still alive and somehow had access to a phone, she could have provided the number to someone. Because of this, some investigators believe the call had been a sign that Joanne was still alive after her disappearance. Sergeant David, who was involved in the investigation, publicly expressed his belief that the child heard during the call could have been Joanne. He stated, "There is no doubt in my mind that it was the child. I'm convinced she's still alive." From a family desperate for answers, those answers brought renewed sense of hope. But there was a problem. Police were never able to trace the call. The technology available in 1983 made it extremely difficult to identify where the call came from, and investigators were unable to determine who made it. Without knowing who called or where the call came from, police had no way to confirm where the crying child was actually Joanne. The call raised more questions than answers. If it was Joanne, where was she? Who was keeping her? Why had someone allowed a call to be made? And if it wasn't Joanne, who would make such a cruel call to a grieving family? Investigators had to consider every possibility. It could have been a person connected to Joanne's disappearance trying to send a message. It could have been someone who knew the information about the case, or it could have been a cruel hoax designed to give the family false hope. Police were never able to provide which explanation was true. The search for Joanne continued. Authorities asked the public for help and encouraged anyone with information to come forward. They searched every possible location they could think of, including areas, homes, properties, a place where someone might have hidden evidence.
But once again, investigators found nothing. No physical evidence, no confirmed sightings, no explanation for the phone call. As time went on, the case slowly began to grow colder. The mystery man from the phone booth remained unidentified. The caller who contacted Joanne's grandmother remained unknown, and Joanne's family was left waiting for answers that never came. For years, Joanne Pedersen's name would remain connected to one of Canada's most puzzling missing child cases. But decades later, when many believed the case had gone completely cold, new information would emerge. Anonymous letters would arrive, and investigators would finally revisit the mystery that had haunted Chilliwack for generations. As the years passed, Joanne Pedersen's disappearance slowly faded from the public eye. But for her family and investigators, the case was never truly closed. For Joanne's loved ones, time did not make the question disappear. They were still left wondering what happened during those few minutes after Joanne called her mother from a payphone. They still wanted to know who the man in the phone booth was, who made the strange call to Joanne's grandmother, and whether Joanne was still alive somewhere. For investigators, the case remained open, but without new evidence, there was very little they could do. The investigation had started with thousands of interviews, countless searches, and hundreds of possible leads. Police had followed up on every piece of information they received, but nothing provided the answers they needed. The biggest mystery continued to be the man seen with Joanne that night. For many years, he remained unidentified. Some people in the community believed he was the person responsible for Joanne's disappearance, while others questioned whether he might have actually been someone who tried to help her. Investigators themselves were careful not to assume what his role was. They knew he was an important witness. He was the last known person seen with Joanne. Finding him could potentially explain what happened during those missing moments after the phone call. Finding him could potentially explain what happened during those missing moments after the phone call. But without knowing his identity, police had no way to ask him what he remembered from that night. Then, after years of silence, Joanne's case received renewed attention. In 2008, the Chilliwack RCMP released a composite image of the mystery man and appealed to the public for help identifying him. The drawing was based on witness descriptions from 1983. Police described the man as being in his 20s, with an average build and someone who may have information about Joanne's disappearance. But there was an important difference in how investigators viewed him compared to the public. While many people had assumed he was a suspect, police stated that they did not necessarily believe he was responsible for Joanne's disappearance. Instead, they believed he could be a key witness, someone who may have seen something, someone who may have information that could fully explain what happened. The renewed media attention brought new tips to investigators. Among those tips was something that caught police's attention. An anonymous letter was sent to the Chilliwack RCMP claiming to contain information related to Joanne's disappearance. At the time, investigators did not know who wrote it or whether the person had direct knowledge of what happened, but it was enough to reopen questions about the case. Then, years later, another anonymous letter arrived. In 2011, police received a second letter connected to Joanne's disappearance. Investigators were not certain whether the same person wrote both letters, but the contents of the 2011 letter stood out because it included details that police believed only someone with specific knowledge of the case would know. Corporal Tammy Hollingsworth explained that there were certain details within the letter that were not publicly known, which made investigators take it seriously. The question became, who was writing these letters? Was it someone who had information about Joanne? Was it someone connected to her disappearance? Or was it someone looking for attention? Police hoped that releasing information from the letter might help identify the writer. They believed someone in the public might recognize the handwriting or know who had written it. But once again, the case reached another dead end. No one came forward, no answers were found, and Joanne's disappearance remained unsolved. For decades, one image stayed connected to the case, the image of the unknown man inside the phone booth, the person who may have held the final answers. Investigators continued to search for answers even as decades passed. Then, in February 2023, just days before the 40th anniversary of Joanne's disappearance, the Chilliwack RCMP made an announcement that shocked many people who had followed the case. Police had finally identified the man from the phone booth. After 40 years, the person who had remained one of the biggest unanswered questions in the investigation finally had a name. But what investigators revealed next was unexpected. The man was not being identified as a suspect. Instead, police stated that they had ruled him out as being involved in Joanne's disappearance. In a statement, the RCMP explained that they had recently identified the male and determined that he was not a suspect. However, his identity would not be released to the public. The announcement answered one question but created several more. How had investigators managed to identify him after so many years? What information allowed them to clear him? And if he was not responsible for Joanne's disappearance, what did he remember from that night? Unfortunately, police did not release those details. For many people who had followed Joanne's case for decades, the announcement brought mixed emotions. On one hand, it provided some answers and confirmed that the mystery man was no longer considered a suspect. But on the other hand, it meant investigators were back to where they started. The person many believed held the key to the case was not the person responsible. So what happened after Joanne left that phone booth? That question remained unanswered. The RCMP continued to emphasize that Joanne's disappearance is still an active investigation. They stated that every new tip received is reviewed and followed up on by investigators. Even after 40 years, police have never stopped looking for answers. The case has continued to receive attention through public appeals and organizations such as BC Crime Stoppers, which have encouraged anyone with information to come forward. Investigators know that someone may still have information about what happened on February 19th, 1983. It could be someone who was afraid to speak at the time. It could be someone who believed their information was not important. Or it could be someone who has carried a secret for decades. Because in a case like Joanne's, one small detail could change everything. A memory, a conversation, a name. Something that seemed insignificant 40 years ago could be the missing piece investigators have been searching for. And while the mystery man has been identified, the biggest mystery remains. Where did Joanne Pedersen go? Even after 40 years, the disappearance of Joanne Pedersen remains one of the most frustrating unsolved cases in British Columbia. Investigators have spent decades trying to understand what happened during the few minutes between Joanne's phone call to her mother and Angela's arrival at the penny pincher store. That short window of time has become the center of the entire mystery. Because the truth is, there is still more questions than answers. The first major question is what happened after Joanne hung up the phone. We know Joanne was inside the phone booth. We know witnesses saw a man with her. We know her mother arrived shortly afterward. But somewhere in those minutes, something happened that caused Joanne to disappear. The most obvious theory for many years was that the man in the phone booth was responsible. After all, he was the last known person seen with Joanne. But once police identified him in 2023 and ruled him out as a suspect, investigators had to look at the case from a different perspective. If he wasn't responsible, then who was? One possibility investigators have considered is that someone else may have been watching Joanne that evening. The penny pincher store was located in an area where people regularly traveled, meaning there was always the possibility that another person nearby saw Joanne after she left the phone booth. However, after extensive searches and interviews, police were never able to identify anyone else connected to her disappearance. Another question that has surrounded the case is whether Joanne may have left with someone she knew. There has never been confirmed evidence that Joanne knew the person responsible for her disappearance. But investigators in missing child cases often consider whether a child may have trusted someone who appeared familiar or safe. Joanne was described as a shy and kind child. She was not known to be someone who would simply leave without telling her family. That is one of the reasons investigators have always believed that something happened to her rather than her choosing to disappear. The phone call to Joanne's grandmother also remained one of the strangest pieces of evidence. If the crying child heard during that call was Joanne, it would suggest she may have still been alive after February the 19th. But if that was true, where was she being kept? Who made the call? And why did they never contact the family again? The fact that Mary's phone number was unlisted made the call even more confusing. Investigators knew Joanne knew her grandmother's number, which is why some believe the call could have been connected to Joanne. But without being able to trace the caller, police were never able to confirm the identity of the person on the other end. Over the years, many theories have been discussed by people who have followed the case. Some believe Joanne was taken by a stranger who saw an opportunity when she was alone. Others believe the answer may involve someone who lived in or traveled through the area at the time. Others believe the answer may involve someone who lived in or traveled through the area at the time. There are also people who wondered if someone has known the truth for decades but has chosen to remain silent. But theories are not evidence, and despite all speculation, investigators have never found the one thing that would provide answers. Physical evidence. No one has been arrested, no remains have been found, no definitive explanation has ever been given for what happened to Joanne Pedersen. But the RCMP has continued to remind the public that this case is not closed. Joanne's file remains active, and investigators continue to follow up on information that comes forward. Because even after 4 decades, police believe there is still someone out there who knows something. Someone who remembers that night, someone who may have seen something that they never reported, someone who may hold the answer to what happened to a 10-year-old girl who only wanted to call her mother and go home. Before we end this case, let's remember Joanne Maria Pedersen. Joanne was not just a missing persons case file or a name attached to an investigation that lasted decades. She was Jojo. She was a daughter, a sister, and a child who had family that loved her. She was 10 years old when she disappeared on a rainy February night in Chilliwack. She was a quiet and kind little girl who was simply trying to get home. Her last known moments were not spending doing something dangerous or unusual. She was not running away. She was not looking for trouble. She was calling her mother because she needed help. More than 40 years later, Joanne's family is still waiting for answers. They deserve to know what happened to her. They deserve to know where she went after that phone call. And Joanne deserves to be remembered not only because of the mystery surrounding her disappearance, but because of the life she had before that night. A little girl with brown eyes and light brown hair. A little girl who had a family who loved her. A little girl whose story has never been forgotten. If someone knows what happened to Joanne Pedersen, even the smallest piece of information could finally help bring answers to a family that has waited more than 4 decades. Because every missing person has a story, and every family deserves the truth. This is the case of 10-year-old Joanne Jojo Pedersen. Now let's get into some theories.
Theories.
Let's get into some theories. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find. Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Research and do your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives.
You or me?
Go ahead.
This case, I'm just confused. What did the man say for the police to be like, oh, you're not the guy who unalived this little girl or kidnapped this little girl? That's what I'm confused about. You found the guy who's in a phone booth with her. I just don't understand how he's not charged or anything like that. If he is innocent, okay. But what did he say? You know, what did he say for you to be like, oh no, it's not him? Because he was the last person to see her. At the end of the day, you found him. You're like, yeah, that was me. But why did it take so many years, almost like 3 or 4 decades, for the police to find him and for him to say, yeah, it was me? If he was really innocent, why he didn't come out then and say like, yeah, it wasn't me. This is really what happened. Why did you tell the mom like, hey, if you're not here in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to call the police? If you really was caring about this little girl, like make sure she was safe, you would sit there and you would wait for the mom. At the end of the day, you would sit there and you would wait. Because you're over like, oh, call the police and big bad wolf. To me, I feel like he probably had money. Like his family probably got money, or he got money. For them to like cut him off that fast, like, I'm sorry, he never came. For them to keep his name a secret. I have seen so many, I'm going to say like 9% of cases, when they find the person they're looking for, they put out their name. They put that person's name out like, yes, this is the witness. And it wasn't him, blah blah blah. Even that lady we just did, I forgot her name, sorry guys. She was a lesbian, and somebody was seen jogging in the park, and he came out quick like, hey, yeah, that was me. I didn't do anything to her. He came out and cleared his name. Why did it take so many decades for this man to come out? He didn't even come out. The police found him. I don't know. I find it weird that he was just like free. Like I don't know. It's just weird. I don't trust that easily. I'm sorry. For the police, like, oh, like we figured it wasn't him. It's just weird. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm questioning that part.
I feel like it was him, the guy from the phone booth. First of all, if you really cared about the child, you would have called the cops. I had a situation where a neighbor came over. She had 2 kids, and she was like, hey, are these kids yours? And I was like, no, these are not my kids. Mm-hmm. But because I was already like invested and I wanted what was best for the kids, I stayed with the lady. I called the cops. I waited until the cops came. And I waited until the cops came to do the proper investigation to see who those kids actually belong to, because I know I didn't have the authority or the resources to complete that research. If he really cared about her well-being, he would have called the cops at the end of the day. You're going to get in trouble, okay, but it's not as bad as losing your child. Second, he went into the phone booth with the girl. That is inappropriate. A grown man going into a phone booth with a little girl is very inappropriate. There's not a lot of room.
Yeah.
I feel like he was feeling out the girl, and he said, hey, I'm going to call the cops if you don't come get your daughter. So I feel like it was kind of like reverse psychology into thinking, or into maybe letting the girl know, Joanne, that he was there for her well-being. So in a way, she kind of trusted him, like, okay, well, I'm going to go with you because, you spoke to my mom. You're going to call the cops. So that's the only other person, and you're an adult. So I think that, like, messed with her, like, psyche. And so he could have just been like, okay, like, get in my car. I'm going to take you home. She could have trusted him very easily. I think he's the one that did it.
Right.
And it looks like this individual liked to play games. So they sent out a letter. Well, actually, they sent out 2 letters. They made a phone call. First, the phone call was to the grandmother's phone. Why was it to the grandmother's phone?
Right.
I'm not sure. Because Joanne knew her mom's phone.
What if she thought her mom was mad at her? He could have said that, like, yeah, your mom mad at you. You wasn't there. Blah, blah. Like, he could, like you said, play games.
Or maybe the mom didn't answer. Who knows? So I do believe that the little girl or the kid crying in the background was her. He liked to play games. Hey, listen to this. Like, he enjoyed torturing them. I feel like he did unalive her. Now, the other thing that didn't sit right with me was the sketch. This was 20 years later. Nobody's going to look. I feel like even to get a sketch to look like the same person
Right.
in the same, like within the same week is super hard. It's super hard to identify a person through a sketch. 20 years later, it's going to be even harder. And let's say that they probably did find the guy, which I doubt, but let's say that they did find the guy. Because this person liked to play games, they probably had something on someone from the police department. And that's why the police department was like, okay, like, he's going to blackmail us, so we're going to go ahead and, name this suspect
Free.
no longer a suspect. Like, we're gonna say, oh yeah, no, he's not it. I feel like there was a lot of blackmail, a lot of thinking, and a lot of games. It kind of reminds me of like the Joker, like with the riddles, except this person wasn't doing riddles, but it was just a lot of mind games. I don't buy it. I think it was him because at the end of the day, if he really cared for this, for Joanne and her well-being, he would have stuck through, you know? He spoke to the mom, so he already had an idea of how she sounded. No random lady is going to come up and say, oh, yeah, that's my child, you know? Like, he already kind of has a feel. And then if she said, I'll be there in less than 30 minutes, you're going to wait. But no, everything that happened with this man seemed super inappropriate. Mm-hmm. So I do believe it was him. Mm-hmm. How is he getting out of it? I feel like he blackmailed somebody from the police department.
Or he got power.
That too.
Because it's like
But he likes playing games. That's why I feel like.
But also, you gotta know, this was a small town. So, of course, everybody know everybody, right? That's why the mama liked this town. It was small. She trusted her neighbors and stuff like that. Her family was there. So, it's like, I don't know. You just gotta think about it. I feel like he probably knows somebody on the force, or he, like you said, use mind games. Somebody like that can, kind of outsmart the police a little bit if they really didn't care. Because he was free too fast. Because I want to know why he never came and said it was him. If you like you said, if you so-called like wanted this little girl to be safe, so I'm gonna call the police. Why you never said, hey, yeah, that was me. I was in that phone booth with that little girl. That was me. I had to leave. I could not stay with her. Why that never came out to me? And it's just one person I do feel bad for is the sister. Like, I don't blame her, even though she's older than her. Siblings fight. Sometimes in that moment, you don't think about all the pros and cons of the situation. She was like, I got mad at my sister. I'm locking the door. Like, she pissed me off. Like, F you. I ain't gonna lie. Have I did that a couple times to my cousins? Them? Hell yeah. You a different story. Like, they probably was standard to you.
I've never kicked them out of the house. I've always just gone to the next room because at the end of the day, that's not my house. That's my parents' house.
I mean, that's how you think. Most people don't think like that.
I
have. I'm not gonna lie.
I've never kicked them out of a house.
Sergio probably would have kicked her out.
No, she never did.
But, I mean, I do feel bad for the sister. She didn't think like, hey, I did this. She didn't think about the cons in the situation, and I feel bad for her. But we think it's the phone booth guy. Hands down. I don't know how he got out of it. Like, how the police said it wasn't him. But, yeah, it was kind of creepy. I mean, it's crazy how everybody saw this happen. Him in the phone booth with her, but they never saw them leave. That's the craziest thing. Like, everybody saw it happen. Everybody saw it. But they never saw them leave together. That's just crazy. But I understand something like, oh, like, look at that person. You just walk off. Like, you don't really give them a second glance sometimes. But I agree with you. I don't believe she's alive. I think after that phone call, something happened. I think that's why he kept going to the family, like messing with the family. Like, yeah, some people do that. They're like, probably he was, hate saying this, he was attracted to her. He loved her, like his weird, sick way. But he just wanted to feel more closer to her. I saw him come to my episode like that. It was good. But yeah, I believe she's passed away, and I believe that it was the phone booth guy. Same. Well, that's our episode. Let me know what you think, and I will put a poll, and I'll try to do it on YouTube and on Spotify. So please watch out for it. This is our episode. We're on all podcast platforms. We're on YouTube, so please give us a 5-star rating. If you're watching the video, please, an easy way to support us, just to like the video, to get our name out there. This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
Don't forget, everybody's a suspect
until proven innocent.
Bye.
Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? honest. Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detective, lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.